never faze me. They watch the steps that I be taking. That's why they say that I'm amazing. Been the top dog before the nonsense. I've always been a public figure. Now the frame didn't got too big, cause more people wanna get up in it.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, John Madsen. This is the show. I got a good episode for you. I'm distracted because I have some bright orange fingernail polish. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to be able to probably see it. I was negotiating with my daughter for a good 20 minutes. She's 5, and Mama was at the spa with her friends, and I was hanging out with baby girl. We were gonna go to the zoo, and she had a bunch of nail polish because she loves it. And usually I'm pretty good at pattern interrupt, so when she wants to do daddy's nails, every once in a while I'll distract her and we'll do something else, and then it's my hope that she forgets about it. This time was not one of those times, and so I got the full deal. And for you guys that don't have daughters or, have never done this stuff doesn't come off very easily. And for you female listeners, obviously already know that. But so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the orange. But we're going to get right into today's show. I have a very powerful topic, and I want you to really, really, really introspectively take a look at what this means for you. Because, these topics can be powerful, but they don't mean anything if it sounds good to you and motivates you for a second, but there's no real introspection done, and ultimately there's no action being performed by you to improve these areas. And so the title of today's show is Where There's No Light, There's No Growth. And this is interesting to me because I've said this multiple times, that how a person does one thing is not how they do everything. For a long time, there was this idea that if you got up and made your bed in the morning, that somehow, some way that was going to translate into you making more money. And I can tell you unequivocally that just because you make your bed every morning, that might make you a good bed maker, but that definitely not make you excellent in your body, and it definitely doesn't ensure that you're going to have business success. And so sometimes those generalities are interesting because it sounds really good to say, and then in reality you can find millions of people who make their bed every day who are complete dog shit at creating an epic body or creating an epic business. Right? And so we have these different domains that I think most of you listening to this show are interested in. You're interested in optimizing your body. You're interested in optimizing your business. You're interested in optimizing your mind, and you're interested in optimizing your relationship. And so what happens is, a lot of times, because we all have different values, some of you at an unconscious level value business over relationships. So it's no matter what you say you want to prioritize, if you're in the office until 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and you keep missing soccer practices and you keep missing dance recitals, no matter what you say you're going to prioritize, your business is taking precedence over the relationships in your life. And it's because at an unconscious level, you value business or money more. Regardless of what you say, it's what you do. Same thing in fitness. Sometimes, and I've mentioned this multiple times, fitness is easy for me because if I have 1,000 things going on at work, if I have a workout scheduled, I will put off all of the things in my business to make sure that my body is optimized. So my body has a supreme value intrinsically for me. So fitness therefore becomes maybe easier than it is for some of you. And so the hard part about talking about priorities and making a list of priorities and telling yourself you're going to do something at a conscious level, that's cool and that's fun, but it's ultimately going to be determined by what you do, not what you say is important to you. And so how that plays out in real life then is that some of you listening to this show are excellent in your business, but you're dog shit in your fitness. Some of you are excellent in your fitness, but if we were to open up your laptop and look at your bank accounts, you have checks bouncing and you're dog shit when it comes to money management. Same thing with relationships. Some of you might be incredible in your relationships, but you're terrible in your fitness. You might put everybody else first, right? And then you put yourself last. So we have these different domains in physicality, in our mentality, in our spirituality and in our relationships. Some of you are excellent in some areas and then very average in other areas. And so when I mentioned this concept of without light, there's no growth, I want you to think about the stuff you're not good at, right? I want you to think about the areas that you're not really good at. And what people tend to do is they tend to keep those things in the dark. Those are the things that's swept under the rug. Those are the things that's put in that closet that you don't ever open. Those are the things that's stuffed into the darkness because you're afraid to look, because it's like you don't know what kind of monster is in there. And I'm telling you, this has played out in my life in different areas at different times. There was a certain point where I can vividly remember a time walking through the mall. My wife had given birth to our daughter probably 6 months prior. Anybody who's had a child, and it was your first one, if you're anything like us, that kind of, uprooted all the routines and stuff that we had set in place. Although I had been in fitness for 7 years prior, and I hardly ever missed a workout for literally the last 16 or 20 years. I remember going through the mall and trying on a shirt at this store. And as I took off my shirt, I looked into the mirror, and what I saw there was an average human being. And I shared this on social media just this week because this picture literally represents a completely average human. And when I looked at myself, I saw like love handles. I saw this body that was kind of like skinny-ish fat. And I thought to myself, how did I get here? I've been in the fitness industry for 7 years. At one point in my life was a top 1% athlete playing in the National Football League. And the reflection that I'm seeing right now does not in any way, shape, or form represent excellence in physicality. Mind you, I knew exactly what to do. It wasn't that I was just sitting on the couch popping Pop-Tarts and eating a bunch of bullshit. I was going to the gym. I was going through the motions. I was trying to eat healthy, or I told myself that. I knew exactly how much to eat. I knew exactly how to train, yet I found myself going through the motions, but I didn't realize it. And so in this moment, I had this moment that changed the trajectory of my life, because I'm in this dressing room, I'm gonna buy this shirt, and I see this reflection of my body of complete mediocrity. And what used to be in the darkness, and this is my point here, what was in the dark was finally illuminated. There was a light that shined down on it in that moment. It was like my eyes snapped open for the first time, and I saw myself, and I saw my low standards, and I saw my lack of excellence. And I walked out of that dressing room, and I didn't buy the shirt because I was pissed. I was pissed at myself. I was pissed at the reflection. I was pissed at the money that wasn't in my bank account. And I was pissed off that I let myself be seduced by mediocrity just like most everybody else. And I was pissed off because I kept it in the dark and I was unwilling to see, until finally I saw it, and my body was a representation of it all. And so I walked out of that dressing room, and I made a decision within that next week. I made a decision to hire somebody who would rip the average out of my soul. It was about fitness, but it wasn't even about fitness. I knew what to do when it came to fitness, but I had a new decision. I had a new standard that I was going to draw a line in the sand, and I was never going back. And that line was excellence. That line was excellence in my body, and it transformed my life, because when I got serious and I did not accept this low standard anymore in my body, business also exploded. And so what I want you to think about is, where are you not shining the light? Where are you not willing to see? Where are you not looking into the mirror? This has happened to me, and I've mentioned this story before, when ultimately I had to face my bank account when I opened up my laptops, when my wife was asking me if I could transfer money for the mortgage payment. And I knew what I was gonna see when I opened up that laptop wasn't gonna be good, but I had to open it up and realize that there was nothing there. And for a long time, I just wanted to hide that. I wanted to put that into the closet and lock the door and never look. But ironically, it cannot grow, it cannot change until you shine the light that you're unwilling to shine right on the thing that you need to transform, because it's not ultimately going to be something that you're excited to look at, but it's something that if you were to finally face the dragon, it's something that will transform your life. And so there's another story I'll share with you because it's the same exact thing. And then I'm going to let you sit and marinate on this topic and figure out where you're not shining the light in your life, where you're not understanding what is not growing because you're unwilling to look. I had a buddy who was like an all-American football player with me at the University of Utah. And this dude was a complete savage on the football field. This was 2003, 2004, so almost 20 years ago. A couple years ago, I get a phone call. And it's that buddy. I hadn't talked to him in years, almost since we were playing football together. And he said, John, I've been following your stuff for a long time. I don't comment. I don't say anything. I'm not that active on social, but I see your stuff, man. And I had to give you a call because I was on vacation. I was at the Turks with my wife and my kids, and I'm playing in the ocean with my kids. And my wife was taking pictures of me and my kids. And so that night back at the hotel, we were going through the photos that she was taking of the family. And I didn't recognize the guy in the photos. I couldn't believe that I had let myself go to get to the point where I could barely recognize myself. I don't even know how that happened, how I didn't see it until I saw the picture. And he said, I couldn't even go to sleep, John, because I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw up. Because that representation in that picture that I couldn't hide from is not me. And so he said he couldn't wait to call me. All he could think about that whole night is tomorrow I'm gonna call John and I'm gonna fix this. Just like my moment in the dressing room. Finally, when your eyes open and you actually see and take inventory into the things that do not represent excellence, it's only then that you can decide to shine the light and decide to change. So my question to you is, are you willing to look into the darkness and shine the light on the things that you've been avoiding? Because if you really want to know how do you know? One of the questions you might have right now is, how do I actually know the things that I'm not excellent at? Well, all you have to do is look, because your results in any one of these areas will tell you all that you need to know. If you're wondering if you have excellence in your fitness, all you have to do is go into the mirror, take off your shirt, and look and ask yourself, is this the representation that I want to put out into the world? Is this the best that I can fucking do, or is it not? Same thing in your finances. All you have to do is open up and see your results. Relationships, all you have to do is take inventory. Your results will tell you the story. The issue, though, is that most people are unwilling to look. So my challenge to you this week is to take a look at all the areas and take inventory and bring this awareness into your consciousness about where you are falling short, and then put a plan in place together. And more important than anything, to not think about it, but to make a fucking decision to change. Because the difference between the dreamers and the doers are, some people want to think about it, want to gather information, want to do research, want to go to YouTube, want to try to read free articles, want to think about it and sit in a corner and try to manifest it, which I love manifestation. But the difference between the dreamers and the doers is one thing. The doers make a decision, and the dreamers are caught up in their heads thinking about it forever. If you like this episode, please like it, please share it, please subscribe to the new YouTube channel. I love you guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you next week.